I'm highly educated. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I went to the Wharton School of Finance.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I was a very fine student.
I went to a great school, business school. The Wharton School of Finance, a great school. Going to that school is like going to the Wharton School of Finance. They didn't go to the Wharton School of Finance. I've also heard I was first in my class at the Wharton School of Finance. And sometimes when you hear it, you don't say anything. You just let it go. She went to the Wharton School of Finance, and she was always a great student. I said, Ivanka, you going to do your homework? Yeah, I've already done it, Dad. And then she get A's.
But the Washington Post, they did a deep dive into his academic career, and it is not nearly as impressive as Trump would make it sound.
For 57 years, Donald Trump has been telling Americans that he graduated first in his class from the Wharton School of Business back in 1968, and he says it with so much confidence that you'd think he's got the diploma hanging on a wall somewhere with #1 stamped across it in giant gold letters.
Cohen told Congress that Trump ordered him to threaten his high school to never release his grades. We all assume he failed everything. Did they invent an easy class for him or something? Okay, Donald, welcome back to our special science course, Rock or Not a Rock.
He's repeated it everywhere too, at rallies, during interviews, in books, on TV, over and over like it was just an unquestionable fact. And honestly, the reason he could say it with that level of confidence is because he made a bet back in 1968 that turned out to work perfectly for nearly 6 decades. He bet that nobody would ever actually check. And for 57 years, that gamble paid off, because those records were never public. Wharton doesn't release class rankings, so the only people who really knew where Donald Trump finished were the students who were there in May of 1968, when every graduate got a copy of the official rankings, and apparently, one of those people held on to theirs the entire time.
And the demand came just days after Donald Trump challenged President Barack Obama to show his records. This happens over and over again. Everything Trump accuses other people of, he's guilty of himself. Oh my God!
Donald Trump's roommate from his junior and senior years, a guy who literally lived in the same dorm room with him, studied for the same exams, and graduated on the same stage, kept the official Wharton School class rankings from 1968 that every student received back then. And when you look through that list, Trump's name shows up on page 9. He finished 147th out of 362 graduates.
Apparently Trump's friends, who were alumni of the school and rich guys, they wanted the school superintendent to give them Trump's records. Now, the superintendent said no. He moved them elsewhere on campus, now declines to say where he hid Trump's records. Who knows what treasures it might contain? His SATs? Maybe even his 10th grade essay, Who I Did on My Summer Vacation.
Which means he wasn't first in his class, wasn't top 10, wasn't top 50, and wasn't even in the top 100. He landed in the bottom half of the graduating class. And the wild part is, his roommate kept that document for 57 years because of something Trump told him the night before graduation. Trump looked at the rankings, saw his own name sitting there on page 9 next to the number 147, and basically shrugged it off, telling his roommate, nobody's ever going to check this. You know that, right? I can say whatever I want about where I finished, and nobody's going to go looking.
He was wasting his time. I'm not undermining. I think I'm actually strengthening authority.
To thank him for all that strengthening of authority, Tillerson called him a moron. This morning, Donald Trump had an answer for that too.
I think it's fake news, but if he did that, I guess we'll have to compare IQ tests, and I can tell you who is going to win.
We have the results of their IQ test right here. Tillerson scored a 120. It's above average, not genius, but still pretty good. And we have Donald Trump's results right here. It's a drawing of a big truck that says MAGA. And there's Trump right there.
If you grew up in a time when a person's word actually meant something, when reputation mattered because people were expected to stand behind what they said, then you probably already understand what Trump's roommate realized back in 1968. This was the era when Walter Cronkite could end the news by saying, "And that's the way it is," and people trusted he had done the work and checked the facts. And what the roommate understood was simple: if someone is willing to lie about something nobody can easily verify, eventually they'll lie about anything. The rankings list laid everything out clearly. It showed exactly who finished above Trump and exactly who finished below him. On page 8 were the students ranked in the 130s and low 140s. And on page 9, right there in the middle, was Donald Trump at 147th out of 362, sitting between a student named Troutman at 146 and another named Tucker at 148. The people around him understood what that ranking meant. They had done well enough, earned degrees from a respected school, and moved on with their lives without pretending they were academic superstars. Everybody seemed to understand that except Trump, who walked away from Wharton and started telling people he finished first. And the roommate never exposed the rankings publicly because he assumed eventually somebody else would. He figured some journalist or researcher would dig into it one day and uncover the truth. But nobody ever did because Wharton never released those records. The only copies were sitting forgotten in drawers, boxes, and attics belonging to hundreds of graduates now in their late 70s, most of whom probably had no clue that one of their former classmates had spent nearly 6 decades rewriting his own story. So the lie just kept going. And every time Trump repeated it, the roommate would think back to that moment in the dorm room when Trump casually said nobody would ever check. And year after year, it turned out he was right. The document itself wasn't dramatic at all either, just plain typed pages from 1968, simple formatting, names listed alphabetically inside ranking brackets. Page 1 had the top students. Page 9 had Donald Trump at 147th. Right between Troutman and Tucker, 2 names the roommate says he remembers clearly because he stared at that page so many times over the years. And honestly, Page 9 is not the page you spend the rest of your life bragging about. It's not the page that makes you tell people you were the best student at the best business school. It's the kind of page most people quietly move on from and hope nobody asks about later. But Trump didn't move on from it. He did the exact opposite. He turned 147th into first place and repeated it with so much confidence, so many times, that eventually people just accepted it as true. At that point, it wasn't memory anymore, it was reinvention. And somehow, for 57 years, it worked. Because a real genius with a first-place ranking doesn't hide the ranking. Someone who hides the ranking usually isn't hiding greatness. They're hiding page 9.